Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Good afternoon to everybody. So today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to pick a couple of more sections from the book, The Revolution of Love. This is what we are going to be reading today, inshallah. This book, inshallah, we're going to just select some chapters and a few passages from the book, inshallah. And we'll let everybody know. Yes, this is was made by a brother, inshallah. I will get his information and I will post it for you guys, inshallah. All right. So trying to figure out where should I start. All right, so where do you guys want to start? You want something controversial, not something so heavy? Where do you want to start here? Does anybody have the book and would like to read a certain section of the book? Anything in particular that you guys would like to read from the book, inshallah? Okay, so let's start with, I'm going to start with chapter number 7. All right, so I want the sisters to pay attention because this chapter pertains to you guys. It's called Jealousy, the Green-Eyed Monster. Your uncle bought the book today after Jumu'ah. Allahu Akbar. MashaAllah. So we're going to be talking about Jealousy, the Green-Eyed Monster. So I usually begin the chapter with a quote, something that I believe that is relevant. It's called The Revolution of Love. The Revolution of Love. All right. So I'm going to open up Instagram as well. So let's see. Okay, so I want you guys to pay attention. This is especially for, well, both the brothers and sisters in particular can benefit from this chapter. But I want you guys to pay attention. This chapter is very, very important. It deals with the subject of jealousy. All right, so I want you guys to pay attention, please. All right, so it starts with a quote at the beginning of the chapter. "Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. It is the green-eyed monster which doeth mock the meat it feeds on." And this was a quote by William Shakespeare. All right. Jealousy is invariably a symptom of neurotic insecurity. All right. So that just lets you know how deep before we even get into the chapter. Jealousy is invariably a symptom. It's a symptom of neurotic insecurity. Jealousy is defined as a fear. Jealousy is defined as a fear and a rage response that preserves romantic bonds between sexual partners. All right? Jealousy can be between men and women, but the jealousy between men and women are completely different. Right now, we're talking about the jealousy of women, but jealousy does exist between men and women. All right, but I want you guys to pay attention. As sisters, I want you guys to be self-reflective here. If at any point, any relationship that you have ever been in, any marriage that you have ever been in, and you can identify some of these qualities within yourself, it would behoove you to pay close attention because I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. And we are in a time where we need to do some deep reflection, man. We are in a time where we really need to do some very deep reflection, on ourselves, so that we can stop this cycle of pain that we are creating, so we can stop hurting people, so we can stop hurting ourselves. How about that? We need to stop hurting and start healing. And the only way that we can start healing is with knowledge of self. You got to know yourself. All right. Jealousy is defined as a fear and rage response that preserves romantic bonds between sexual partners. Meaning jealousy is a response. It's as a result of fear, and it's a response to preserve and to protect a bond that you share with someone that you love. So just kind of giving you the diagnostics of jealousy before we go into the ugly part of it. I want you guys to understand that, the symptoms and to understand, the whole idea of jealousy, because we usually look at it as a bad thing, especially men. When we see a woman that's jealous, we like, oh, get your game together, get your game up, step your game up. Why are you being so jealous? But we don't understand the deeper roots of jealousy and where it comes from and why it exists. All right. So jealousy is a fear. It's a fear. When a man is, especially a man who's marrying another woman, and you start to see your current wife exhibiting, high levels of jealous behaviors, you have to understand that the root of that is fear. She's afraid, and she's trying to preserve, the bonds of her relationship. However, what she doesn't realize is that sometimes your jealousy can actually end up ruining your relationship, right? Your jealousy can actually end up ruining your relationship, because there's another quote that I mentioned here. If you go to page 162, on page 162, I say that men are naturally attracted to women who exude confidence and are usually turned off by those who appear needy and insecure. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Men are attracted to women that are confident, that exude confidence. And they are usually turned off by women who are needy and insecure all the time. Right? There's a quote of a beautiful woman, this pretty woman, in the body, whatever. And then right after the quote, they said, behind every pretty woman is a man who is tired of her behind, tired of her insecurities, tired of her immaturities, tired of her needy nature, right? Be mindful. Be mindful. All right. Men are naturally attracted to women who exude confidence and are usually turned off by those who appear needy and insecure. Most men don't mind playing the role of superhero. Most men don't mind playing the role of superhero to a woman who is in need, whether emotionally or financially or even spiritually, because that's our nature. We like to put on our cape and we like to rush to the scene and rescue the woman. Financially, you need help. I'm going to help you out, sister. I'm going to give you money and I'm going to help you. We want to help. Spiritually, you need to learn your deen. I can teach you Arabic. I can teach you Quran. I can teach you so much, right? Spiritually, we want to rescue. And of course, even emotionally, all right? Most men don't mind playing the role of a superhero to a woman who is in need, whether emotionally or financially or even spiritually. However, the thought of being in a marriage with someone who needs rescuing all the time can be emotionally draining. Brothers, am I lying? So some of you sisters, some of you women, you have this needy nature that is excessive. Every single one of us has a needy nature. Let me correct that. We all, including men, we all have a needy nature at some point. We want to be needed. We want to, we want to be in that position where, we can be helped. Everybody wants that. No matter how strong we come off, no matter how in control we appear to be, everybody has a needy side to them. But the thought of a man being in a relationship with a woman who needs rescuing all the time can be emotionally draining. It can be emotionally draining. And this is something that women, you guys need to understand. The less a woman needs a man, the more he wants her. But the more she needs him, the less he wants her. You guys understand? The more a woman needs a man, the less he wants her. But the less she needs him, the more he chases. The old adage or the old phrase of a woman, the confident, independent woman is that's the woman that the man is chasing. But the woman who throws herself at the man and she's, needs his attention all the time, that's the woman he's trying to get away from. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if that's you, if you think that this applies to you, if you are that needy woman that you need rescuing all the time, you the damsel in distress, then you have to understand, no matter how pretty you are, because prettiness does not keep a man. Being pretty, having a banging body, or whatever feature you like to highlight, whatever feature about yourself you like to highlight, all of that means nothing to a man when he has to deal with your needy nature and your desire to be rescued all the time. He wants to be as far away from you as possible. And then sometimes he might go after another woman, and then the pretty woman will say, well, this is who you cheated on me with, this person or that person. It wasn't about the looks. It wasn't about the looks. He didn't cheat on you because you weren't pretty. He didn't cheat on you because your body wasn't banging. He didn't cheat on you because you weren't pretty. That wasn't the reason. Men, I have a whole section in here why men cheat. Men don't cheat necessarily because the woman that they're with is not enough. Sometimes the man cheats because the woman that he's with is too much. You're doing the most. And I just need to get away from you. You understand? You guys have to take a deeper look at yourself. But I'll say that again, the less a woman needs a man, the more he wants her. But the more she needs him, the less he wants her. And you can look at your own love life. You can look at your life right now, right? That doesn't mean cheat. No, obviously it doesn't mean cheat. Obviously, I'm not giving a pass. I don't think anybody understood that I need you guys to listen to understand, not respond. Because when you are in the mode of responding, you're not processing what I'm saying. Obviously, no, I don't think anybody understood from my statement, go ahead and cheat. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm just trying to give you guys a little window into men. If you think that you have men all figured out, then by all means, find somebody else's live to go to. By all means. Jealousy is a combination of possessiveness, suspicion, rage, and humiliation, the feeling of being humiliated. It's a combination of all of those. So when we talk about a woman as being jealous, when you talk about a woman being jealous, you're talking about a combination of emotions that she is experiencing in that state of jealousy. You're talking about possessiveness, as women are very territorial, right? Women are very territorial. Possessiveness, suspicion, rage, and a feeling of humiliation. Neither gender is routinely more jealous, although it is more generally associated with women, meaning men experience high levels of jealousy as well. But we're not talking about the men right now. Jealousy, all right, in the Arabic language is called ghira. Ghira. All right. Ghira, or jealousy, is an emotion. And the word typically refers to the negative thoughts and feelings of insecurity, anxiety, and fear of an anticipated loss of something that has great personal value, particularly in the realm of interpersonal connections. This type of jealousy can, emerge even as it relates to people that are friends. All right. Sometimes when a woman is friends with someone and she sees her friend developing a friendship with another woman, that same jealousy will emerge. Correct me if I'm wrong, sisters. If you and your bestie, you and a friend are very close, and then you see her developing relationships with another woman, that same jealousy will emerge. Because it's a fear of an anticipated loss of something that has great personal value to you. You understand? I've seen it. I have 3 sisters. I'm not oblivious. I'm not oblivious. I'm just asking because I know you guys always like to, no, not all women. You always like to use the exception to the rule as the rule. The exception to the rule is just that, the exception to the rule. It's not the rule. So don't say not all women. Obviously, genius, not all women. I get it. I get it. So it is a fear of an anticipated loss of something that has great personal value, particularly in the realm of interpersonal connections. Emotional jealousy was predicted to be 9 times more responsive in females than in males. I'll say that again. Emotional jealousy was predicted to be 9 times more responsive in females than in males, making women far more violent than men when they experience episodes of jealousy. Women are far more violent than men when they experience episodes of jealousy. Scholar and psychiatrist Sigmund Freud, for those of you who've, your Psychology 101, you're familiar with Sigmund Freud, right? He asserted that there were 3 types of jealousy found in sexual relationships. Pay attention to this. Sigmund Freud, he asserted that there were 3 types of jealousy found in sexual relationships. Number 1 is normal jealousy. Normal jealousy, which is a response to a real threat. So that means that if a man marries another woman, or if a man tells his wife that he is interested in another woman, from that moment, there is going to be jealousy. From that moment. And a man cannot say to his wife, this is polygyny, this is part of the religion, you already understand what this was, you knew what you were getting into. You can't use those phrases to dismiss the jealousy because it's normal. It's a response to a real threat, a perceived loss, an anticipated loss of something that has personal value. So no man, brothers, let me tell you, no man, I don't care how great your relationship is with your first wife. I don't care how cool you are. I don't care what type of shared experiences you guys have had over the years. The moment, the mere mention of another woman is introduced into that conversation, your wife is going to experience episodes of jealousy, period. And we have to stop dismissing men. We do a horrible job with that. And I hope brothers are paying attention, man. You cannot dismiss an emotion because the action that you are doing is correct or aligned with the religion. You can't say, well, polygyny is my right, or polygyny is part of my religion. This is part of my religious rights. This is something that you already know. I don't understand why you're getting so jealous. I don't understand where the jealousy is coming from. You already, this is natural. This is natural. It's going to happen. There's nothing that you can do that can, that can drown that jealousy out. I don't care how correct your action is. And then in some instances, to make even matters even worse, some brothers will go as far as saying that because a woman has, jealousy and, is not really totally with, her husband marrying another woman, that she is now somehow, guilty of having issues with God. That's to make it even worse. To say, oh, your issue is not with me, your issue is with Allah. Allah is the one who legislates. So now you're trying to deflect. Now you try to take the feeling of being uncomfortable. Here again, as I said in my post the other day, the hardest thing for us to do is to sit in a place that is discomforting for us. We will do anything to get out of that space. We'll do anything to remove ourselves from a situation that makes us uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to learn how to sit in your discomfort. Sit there. It's discomforting. I get it. But that comes along with the territory of you wanting to marry another wife. But you can't say to a woman, oh, you have a problem with Allah. Your issue is with God. Your issue is with Allah because Allah legislated polygyny. You already know that this is part of the religion. So your issue is not with me. Your issue is with Allah. And to make even matters even worse, when you tell the woman that her issue is with Allah and not with you, you are basically now accusing her of having some doubts about her faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The woman is already experiencing, a load. There's a load on her shoulders that she's carrying. And rather than you sitting in the discomfort with her, she's discomforted. The moment you brought up, I'm interested in marrying another woman, she's now put in a place of discomfort. And so now when you see the jealousy begin to emerge, you got to sit in that discomfort as well. You can't slide out of that by saying, oh, I don't understand why you have such an issue with this. You already know that this is part of the religion. You already know that this is what Allah legislated. You already know that this was my right. We already discussed that, as if to say that because those things, here again, man logic. This is man logic. Because that's how we function as men. That's how we function as men. Oh, all of these things line up. So therefore, we shouldn't have any emotional attachment to it because it all makes sense. In a woman's mind, it might all make sense. It might all line up, but it doesn't take away the emotion. It doesn't take away the emotion. All right? So there's normal jealousy, which is a response to a real threat. Number two, there is abnormal jealousy. Abnormal jealousy, which is often described by any one of several adjectives, including morbid, psychotic, pathological, delusional, or anxious jealousy. So this is abnormal jealousy. This is heightened levels of jealousy where person almost becomes psychotic. According to some psychologists, abnormal jealousy can be attributed to common issues including extreme insecurity, immaturity, and being a control freak. In some cases, abnormal jealousy is due to a mental illness. This is the thing that I want you to pay attention to. Sisters, I'm talking to you guys right now. Because we don't get diagnosed. There is no, diagnosis. Many of us have not gone to any psychiatrist, psychologist and got a diagnosis for any mental health issues. So that means what? That means that there could be mental health issues lying dormant within us. And a particular situation could, in fact, trigger those issues that are lying dormant within us. Absolutely. Absolutely. So in many cases, in some cases, it is due to, we're talking about abnormal jealousy, is due to mental illnesses such as paranoia, schizophrenia, a chemical imbalance in the brain. Paranoia and schizophrenia can cause delusions of infidelity, meaning that the husband is not necessarily guilty of infidelity, but the woman is having delusional visions of her husband being a cheater, when in fact he has never cheated. He hasn't cheated, hasn't thought about cheating. But that's the paranoia, that's the schizophrenia. And it can cause delusions of infidelity, causing a jealous reaction. Extreme sensitivity can also contribute to jealousy in instances where a person perceives a threat to the relationship when there is no real threat present. This is usually associated with the use of excessive control over the other spouse. I want to know where you're going. Why didn't you text me when you got there? Right? Extreme, excessive control over the other spouse who has unrealistic concerns about their faithfulness. Unrealistic concerns about their faithfulness. Individuals who suffer from abnormal jealousy often exhibit behaviors such as calling their spouses repeatedly to check in, as well as going through their cell phone and their personal information. We're talking about even when there is no threat. There is no threat. So I want you guys to be mindful of your behaviors. And the sad thing about this is that a man marries a woman who is a second wife, and she comes into the marriage and she begins to exhibit this type of behavior. That is when it becomes dangerous. Why is it dangerous? And I mean, it's dangerous both ways. If a man marries a second wife and then the first wife starts to exhibit this type of behavior. But if a man marries a second wife and then she starts to exhibit this type of behavior going through his cell phone, the thing is that as a second wife, you already know he has a first wife. Obviously, his interaction with his first wife is not going to necessarily change because he married you. He's going to try to alter, his interaction and his engagement with his first wife as much as he can so as to, lessen the blow that you might feel because you're just new coming into the relationship. But if a man has been married to his first wife for 10 years, for 7 years, for 8 years, for a substantial amount of time, right? Substantial amount of time. This husband and wife has been to Hajj together. They have multiple children together. They have a home together. They have so much experience together. You as a second wife coming into this situation, you can now not start looking through his phone, getting in your feelings every time he gets a text message from her. Like, you have to be mindful of your behavior, of your action in this moment. Because he's only doing the same exact thing that he was doing when he was in monogamy, before he married you. Before he married you, he was doing the same thing with this woman. This is his wife. And now here you come and you want to regulate how much she can text. She might not even be texting him anything related to them. It might be a text message about the children. If a man has a first wife and they have 4, 5, 6, 7 children together, do you think that it is sensical? Do you think it's sensical that he's only going to text her or she's only going to text him, a few times? Obviously when he's with his second wife, the first wife is going to should try to be mindful of the frequency of her text message. But if there are children there, this child needs this, especially if they, only have one vehicle, she needs this from the store or whatever. And obviously some first wives abuse that. I get it. I'm not oblivious to that. Some women who are first wives, they abuse the fact that they have children with this man, that they have a home with this man, that they have experience with this man. So that she abuses that that she has. Sometimes to rub it in the second wife's face to say, I know him better than you. I have all his children. I've been married to him longer, and just kind of like rubbing it in your face. Yes, it does. It does happen. I'm not oblivious to that. But I'm talking about the excessive control over the other spouse who has unrealistic concerns about faithfulness. Individuals who suffer from abnormal jealousy often exhibit behaviors such as calling their spouse repeatedly to check in. You understand? This is what I'm talking about, that men kind of run away from you when you start doing that. You're texting multiple times and it's just like, and then when the man says, hey, chill out with the text, like, respect the other person's time. Like, that's a conversation that we can have. You want to send a text message, hey, what do you think about me buying these boots? And it's just like, come on, man. We are on chapter 7. And number three is projected jealousy. An example of this is that a man would like to see other women. He can't admit it to himself, so his inner duplicity leads him to suspect his woman and accuse her of doing what he himself dreams of doing. This kind of jealousy can often be directed at rivals who don't even exist. This is like gaslighting. This is like a gaslighting, right? So there is no doubt that a woman in polygyny experiences high levels of jealousy, with some periods being more intense than others, all right? Sometimes the jealousy is going to be more intense and more extreme than others. It is a rarity that women in polygyny feel so secure that they no longer experience jealousy on some level. That is rare. If any man believes that they're going to marry a woman in polygyny, they're going to marry a second wife or third wife, and somehow the first wife or the second wife is going to kind of get over her jealousy and never experience jealousy again, that is unheard of. That is unheard of. You understand? That is unheard of. So for men to get this out of their minds and to thinking that one day you're going to walk through your door and your wife is just going to be, she's just going to embrace the whole idea of polygyny. She's never going to exhibit any jealousy whatsoever, ever again. You are sadly mistaken. However, they do, develop coping mechanisms that help them deal with the situation that can be potentially helpful or harmful. One of the more harmful ways of dealing with this green-eyed monster is through emotional disassociation or emotional numbing. So women don't get over jealousy. They learn how to navigate their way through it. Sometimes it's healthy, sometimes not so healthy. Sometimes healthy, sometimes not so healthy. One of the not so healthy ways of dealing with jealousy is what is called emotional numbing, where you numb yourself. You numb yourself, right? Emotionally. So let's talk about that. Emotional numbing is a conscious decision made by the wife to avoid engaging her husband emotionally, which allows her to maintain boundaries and avoid the undesired impact of her spouse's emotional demands. So she doesn't engage her husband emotionally anymore, right? She doesn't invest any more emotion into their marriage, into their situation. All right. In general, emotional detachment often arises from psychological trauma and is a component in many anxiety and stress disorders. The person, while physically present, moves elsewhere in the mind and to some degree is not entirely present, making them appear preoccupied or distracted. In other cases, the person may seem fully present but operate merely intellectually in situations where an emotional connection would be more appropriate. So let me break those two down for you. The first one is where the person, scholars, they mention that emotional detachment often arises from psychological trauma. That some women, when their husband decide to take on another wife, they start to experience psychological trauma. All right, psychological trauma. And this is especially true if they have had psychological trauma in the past. And this is why it's important to read this stuff, to read and understand, so that the next time you as a man are going into polygyny, or you as a woman are going into polygyny, you have to think, if you have been psychologically scarred in your past, it probably would, and you have not made peace for that. You have not made peace with that. You have not reconciled that. Then that means that you are carrying what? Emotional baggage. You have not set your bag down. You have not unzipped your bag, and you have not begun to unpack your emotional baggage. You are just lugging it, carrying it around with you from one relationship to the next. And the danger in not unpacking your emotional bag is that you are easily triggered. You are easily triggered. This slightest little discussion or movement or, triggers you. And rather than you pausing and taking a look at why you're triggered, you attack the person for triggering you. So you attack the man for triggering you because you're not making the connection. You're not even aware of your triggers. You understand? You're not even aware of why you're triggered in such a way, because you have psychological trauma from your past that you have not reconciled, that you have not dealt with. And it's dangerous because you are now thinking about marrying into polygyny, and you have psychological trauma that you have not even begun to address. You are about to destroy somebody's family. You're about to destroy that man. You're about to destroy that woman and those children. You're about to cause havoc. Havoc. And I've seen it. I've seen this. So, be mindful. So, emotional detachment often arises from psychological trauma and is a component in many anxiety and stress disorders. A lot of times when a woman is molested, if a woman is molested, sexually molested, or sexually abused as a child, this is one of the ways that she copes with the trauma, is through emotional detachment. Did you guys know that? She emotionally detaches herself. Sometimes emotionally detaches herself from her own self. So this is why you'll see girls go into relationships with guys. They know that this guy is about to abuse them. They know that this guy is about to cheat on them. They know that this guy is going to abuse them. They know. I remember growing up seeing girls do this, and I used to say to myself, what is she, a sucker for pain? Like, why does she do that to herself, knowing that this guy is going to hurt her, this guy is going to cheat on her, this guy is not going to be faithful to her? And the reason why is because she has emotionally detached herself. So it's all physical for her. It's all physical. I kid you not. There's no emotion involved whatsoever. It's all physical. She has completely removed herself emotionally from any relationship. And some of you women right now are like that. You have been hurt so many times in your life. Emotionally, you don't have enough to invest in a relationship, which is why your relationships don't last that long. Have you ever asked yourself why? And it's easy to say, well, I keep marrying the wrong brothers. After the first brother, second brother, maybe. After the third brother, like, when do you start taking responsibility for yourself? After the third brother, fourth brother, when do you start to take responsibility for yourself? Some women are emotionally detached. You invest no emotion into your relationships because of past trauma. You have been traumatized so much throughout your life that you don't even try to invest any emotion in any relationship you go into. It's just purely physical. Yeah. You've emotionally detached yourself from yourself to your own detriment. So the other type of emotional detachment is where a person may not be present. They're there physically and they operate merely intellectually in situations where an emotional connection would be more appropriate. As I've said before, high IQ does not equal high EQ. There are some people who are extremely intelligent, but even in being extremely intelligent, they are completely emotionally detached. They are extremely intelligent, highly intellectual, but they insert intellectual connection in a place where it should be emotional connection. So they don't know how to respond emotionally. Everything is intellectual. And that's a lot of times for men. We do that. As men, we do that. A woman might engage us in a conversation or in a situation that requires us to engage her back emotionally. But rather than being emotionally engaging, we're intellectually engaging. So we'll say, well, that doesn't make sense. And we'll come with our, proverbial problem solving, because that's what we do as men, rather than hearing the woman out and hearing what she is not saying. Because what she's not saying is that she needs your emotional engagement right now. But we are still the proverbial problem solver. So we're still giving you tips and clues on how to solve the problem. And the woman is like, but I don't want a solution to my problem. I need you to engage me emotionally. But we've completely detached ourselves. We don't allow ourselves to be emotionally engaged. So we're present physically. But we insert, where there should be emotional connection, we insert intellectual connection. You guys follow me? This may present an extreme difficulty in giving and or receiving empathy and can be related to narcissistic personality disorder. This explains why some women in polygyny seem to be very cold, self-centered at times, leaving the husband to wonder, where did the love go? Brothers, if you've ever been in polygyny or in polygyny currently, and then you're looking back at one of your wives or both of your wives and you're trying to figure out, where did the love go? Why do they seem to be so cold? You guys, any of you guys know what I'm talking about? And it doesn't just happen in polygyny, but it can also happen in situations where a woman has been cheated on. And then although the man, he, comes and he tries to reconcile and, he asks for the woman's forgiveness and he promises to never do it again. And, and he might make good on that promise, but the woman is just not emotionally invested anymore. She's removed all of the emotion from that situation because she can't tolerate being hurt like that again. So rather than risk being hurt again, she removes emotional connection from the relationship altogether. So she's there as a wife, and basically it's like a man is married to one of his friends. She functions just like, you understand? She functions just like one of his boys. She'll watch a game with you. She'll go out to the movies with you. She'll engage you, but she's not going to invest any emotion, because she can't handle being hurt like that again. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't just happen in polygyny. It happens wherever there is scarring and trauma. And person just doesn't want to go through that again. So they'll physically continue on in that relationship with you, but they're not going to invest any emotional, emotional connection. So this explains why some women in polygyny seem to be very cold and self-centered at times. A lot of times men are married to women, right? A lot of times men are married to women in polygyny, and it seems like, oh, I just want my bills paid and I just want this. And it's just like, damn, like you don't even care about our relationship. All you want is your bills paid and, to make sure I'm here on time, make sure I'm following up on my word. And it's just like, I can't even get any emotional engagement from you anymore. Now you know why. Now you know why. It's called emotional numbing. She has numbed herself to you. And is there a way around that? Of course it is. It takes time. But the woman has to understand first and foremost that that's what she has done. That is what she has done. It's a coping mechanism. This is the way she's learning how to, it's harmful, it's unhealthy, right? It's harmful, it's unhealthy, but this is what she knows. This is how she knows how to cope in that moment. And this is why counseling is very important. Because only, a counselor would be able to, point that out to you and be able to make you aware of, these vices that are destroying not just you, but destroying you and your relationship. All right. So let me give you an example from the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and then we'll move on to another chapter. An example of this, right? An example of this is found in a situation that occurred between two of the Prophet ﷺ's wives, Aisha and Safiya. Pay attention. While on this particular journey, Safiya was riding on a camel, which was very slow, having brought many of her belongings, while Aisha was on a faster camel, having brought along a few things. So let me paint the situation for you. The Prophet ﷺ decided to take both of his wives on a trip with him. All right. He decided to take both of his wives on a trip with him. All right. That was Aisha and Safiya. Safiya, being an older woman, she was on a slower camel slow. And one narration mentioned she was on a donkey. And she had all of these things with her. Older woman, she's more set in her ways and, is very particular about what she needs and what she wants. So she just brings everything, right? You go on a journey with your wife, you're only going for 2 days. She packs a whole entire suitcase. It's like, babe, we're only going to be there for 2 days. But she has to have all of the particulars. I might want to wear this, but then again, I might not want to wear that. I might actually want to wear this. I don't know what the weather's going to be, so I might want to wear that. She got 3, 4, 5 outfits, and we're only going for 2 days. But she more settled in, the way that she functions. Aisha, on the other hand, she's on a fast camel, and she only has a couple of things with her. Young girl, she just happy to be on the trip. She just happy to be going. She don't care about what I'm wearing tomorrow. All of that is not important, right? So man logic, what does a man do in this situation? A man looks at this situation and says, this wife is on a slow animal with all of these things. This wife is on a fast animal with just a few things. Man logic dictates, why don't we swap? Why don't we switch these two? That's man logic. That's what we do. The proverbial problem solver. That's what we do. We solve problems, sometimes to our own detriment. So the Prophet ﷺ, using what I like to call man logic, switched Aisha to the slower camel and Safiya to the faster camel because the previous arrangement had begun to slow up the entire group. So Aisha, who was a bit obviously compromised by her previous bouts with jealousy about the Prophet ﷺ marrying Safiya, she said very sarcastically, she's saying this in front of everybody, all right? This is the Prophet ﷺ dealing with this green-eyed monster, even within his own wife. Our mother, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, nonetheless, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Gharat ummukum," your mother has become jealous. Aisha yells out in front of everybody. This is the woman who is jealous, overwhelmed with her jealousy. She's not even aware of the boundaries and the parameters she's about to cross. She says this in front of everybody. She says, "Oh, servants of Allah, look at how this Jewish woman has overtaken the messenger of Allah." You understand? She lost it in front of everybody. Say, "Ya ibadallah, oh servants of Allah, look at how this Jewish woman," right, called Safiya all out her name. Meanwhile, she was a Muslim married to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said, "Look at how this Jewish woman has now overtaken the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam." She attributed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam switching them to Safiya having control over the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And men, we've experienced that, right? You marry a woman, right? You marry a second wife, third wife, or whatever the case may be, and then you start to move a little differently to accommodate, your current situation. And then you got your other wife like, "Oh, so now you doing this now. Oh, now you want to do it like this, So your new wife got you doing this now, and it's just like, you got to take those lumps. It comes with the territory. If you don't have thick skin, polygyny not for you. That's the bottom line. And we see that with our messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you don't have thick skin, stay out of polygyny. Stay away. It's not for you. You're not built for it. You understand? Because if something like this could happen to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Aisha was, the most pious, the most righteous, most God conscious, then what do you think about a woman in 2020? What do you think about a Muslim woman in 2020? Especially African American, because they snap. You understand? It's different. It hit different when you're dealing with black women. I mean, I don't say that in a negative way. But what I am saying is that some brothers, they ain't built for it, man. They ain't built for it. You got to be in it to win it. If you in polygyny, you got to be all the way in or all the way out. That's the bottom line. Piece of advice I just gave to a sister the other day. She said, what advice could you give to someone that's looking to go into polygyny? I said, you got to be all the way in or all the way out. This ain't something that you stick your big toe in the cold water to see how cold it is. You just want to test the waters. Nah, you got to be all the way with it to be urbanly correct. You got to be all the way in it or all the way out of it. And that goes for men and women. You understand? That goes for men and women. Yeah, Latinas snap too. But my experience has only been with black women. I'm sorry. No disrespect to anybody's culture. But I have never been with anyone outside of my race. I'm sorry. I love black women. That's just me, period. I can't speak for anybody else. I know a lot of men who would never marry another black woman. I've had conversations with brothers who said they will never marry another black woman. And I beg to differ. I wouldn't want to be with anybody other than a black woman. I'm sorry. Anyway, at any rate, so the Prophet ﷺ, he swapped these two. He switched Safiya to Aisha's camel, and he switched Aisha to Safiya's camel, right? And so Aisha snaps. She says, "Oh my God, oh servants of Allah, look at this. No, look at this Jewish woman who has now overtaken the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Attempting to appeal to her inner logic, the Prophet ﷺ made the mistake of trying to appeal to her inner logic. There is no inner logic at that point because she's now emotionally compromised. You understand? She's emotionally compromised. You understand? She is emotionally compromised. There is no appealing to her inner logic at that moment. There is no appealing. But the Prophet ﷺ attempted to appeal to her inner logic, and he explained why he took that particular course of action, and to no avail. Her jealousy had clearly clouded her ability to see the genuine wisdom of his decision to switch their riding animals. She further stated, to add insult to injury, listen to what she said. She said, she's talking now to the Prophet ﷺ. I want you to be mindful of the conversation now. She turns to the Prophet ﷺ, to her husband, and she says, don't you claim to be the messenger of Allah? And so the Prophet ﷺ smiled, realizing what is happening to her at that moment. And he addressed her by her kunya in an attempt to gain access to that compassionate side of her, which seemed to have vanished in the face of her jealousy. And he says to her, do you have any doubt about that, O Abdullah? Aisha's kunya was Abdullah. We know Aisha didn't have any children. All right. Aisha didn't have any children. So where did her kunya come from? Kunya is when you put Abu or in front of your name, in front of your oldest child's name. So my oldest son is Zubair, so I would be Abu Zubair. Abu az-Zubair. All right. So Aisha didn't have any children. So where did her kunya come from? Why did he call her Abdullah? She didn't have any children. So why did he call her Abdullah? Where did the kunya come from? It came from her nephew. Her nephew, Aisha's sister. Aisha's sister was Asma. Right, Asma's son. Very good. Very good. Aisha's sister, Asma, they had their first son, Abdullah ibn Zubayr. All right, became a great scholar from the Sahaba. And so because Aisha came to the Prophet ﷺ one day, and she said, all of your other wives have children from previous marriages. All of your other wives have children. And they all have kunyas. You have Habiba, you have Salama, you have all of these women, they had children from previous marriages. She said, but I don't, it was a real sensitive moment. I want you to pay attention. This is for men. Here again, we talked about men being the proverbial problem solvers and instituting intellectual connection at a time when you should be emotionally connected, right? Sometimes we don't get it right. It takes a while as a man before you're able to kind of pick up on those moments. Okay, this is the time when I need to be emotionally connected. All right. Cue emotional connection, right? It takes us a while to pick up on that because as men, especially newly married men or men who are just kind of, stepping into the world of serious relationships where, you're investing now into your relationship with your woman. If you're used to being around men all the time, you don't know when there's a cue for an emotional connection because you don't have emotional connections with your men. When you're around men, when you're around other men, especially black men, we have this thing about us where, we're not really allowed to be emotional. It's seen as, weak. It's seen as girly. It's seen as feminine. So when we're around other men, so like, I love you, bro. We still got to be masculine with it. We can't, can't come fully on with the, emotional connection. You might make other people feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like I've been in the car with my son, my oldest son, and I'm like, yo, I love you, right? And he's like, come on, man, like this is uncomfortable. I really don't want to have this conversation with you. It's just this thing, you know what I mean? So if you're around men all the time, you spend the vast majority of your time around men, you don't pick up on the times when it requires your emotional connection because you're used to being physically, connected and intellectually connected because you're around men all the time. And that's what our relationships require. But when you're around a woman, it requires you to pick up on, all right, this is the time when I need to be emotionally connected. All right, cue emotional connection, cue emotional response, cue, you understand what I'm saying? Like we have to pick up on that. And the more and more you're around women, the more and more you're around your woman, or if you have multiple wives, the more and more you're around your wives, you get better at it. I promise you, you get better at it. At 20 something years old, even in my early 30s, I was horrible. I didn't know when to pick up on this was the time I was supposed to be. All right, I'll get it the next time. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get it. But the more and more that you are around your wives, the more and more you're around your woman, you'll pick up on it and you will get better at it. So I want you to look at this situation, right? The Prophet ﷺ is traveling with two of his wives. One is on a slow animal. The other one is on a faster animal. The one on the slow animal has all of these things with her. The other one is on a fast animal, has only a few things. Man logic kicks in. What is logical for us as a man, the proverbial problem solver, is to come in and say, why don't we switch you guys? You're on a slow animal. Why don't I put you on a fast animal with all of your things? And why don't I put you on a slow animal with only a few things? Problem solved. However, although he solved that problem, he created another problem. And that was that he ignited the jealousy of one of his wives. So she lashes out at him. And he tries to appeal to her. He says, I did that because you were holding us up and I needed to move you over here. And so she says, her jealousy has clearly clouded her ability to see the genuine wisdom in the decision that the Prophet ﷺ made to switch them. And so she further states, don't you claim to be the messenger of Allah? So the Prophet ﷺ, realizing what's happening here, he just started smiling. Because as a man, sometimes that's the only way that you can respond to certain situations. You gotta laugh to keep from crying. Sometimes as a man, you gotta just laugh it off. You just smile it off. And your wife might even take issue with that. Oh, you think it's funny? You laughing? You think it's funny? It's like, nah, I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm smiling. I'm trying to brush the situation off because I don't want to get angry. Like, if you at 10 and I'm at 10, we're going to burn this freaking house down. You understand what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We fight fire with fire. We end up with ashes. So I'm allow you to be at 10. You at 10. You angry. You upset. You don't want me to be at 10 either. You know what I mean? So I'm going to smile it off. I'm going to laugh it off. I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I don't think it's funny. I'm just laughing it off because that's my way of protecting myself from getting to the point where you're already at. You understand? Women understand that about men. We don't laugh things off. Sometimes we laugh because we're embarrassed. Sometimes it's just like, come on, man, and we're embarrassed. And we don't really have a response or we don't have a reply. And it's our way of just kind of deflecting to get that discomfort off of us. And then here you come. Oh, you laughing? Oh, this is funny to you? And it's just like, no, it's not funny. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I don't want to get to the place where you're at, So you got to smile it off. All right. Instagram, I'm going to turn you back on, inshallah. Sisters, I hope you guys are paying attention. I'm trying to give you some jewels, man, to understand men. I think part of women's, especially as I said in the last class, I think part of the dilemma of women in this day and time is you guys don't understand men. You don't understand men. You think you understand. You've been watching a little bit too many movies, love stories and stuff like that. That's not going to give you a window into the life of a man. You understand? You have to understand men and how we function and why we do the things that we do. If you are married to a man, if you are in close proximity to a man, your father, whatever, ask questions, man. Ask why do men do this? Why do men do that? Tell me something. Why do brothers do this? Or why do men do that? You know what I mean? Like, so you can have a better understanding of why we do the things that we do. To us, it makes sense. Every single thing that we do as men is calculated and it makes sense to us. The problem that comes in is that when we are with a woman, married to a woman, in close proximity to a woman, and we do things that make sense to us, it doesn't make sense to you. You understand? That is where the problem comes in. And rather than you asking to try to get a deeper understanding of why he did this or why he did that, You just automatically assume it's stupid. That's dumb. That's stupid. Why would you do that? And it's just like, no, it's not dumb. It's not stupid. It makes total sense to me. You understand? It makes total sense to me. Now, if you were to ask me why, then I would explain to you and you would understand. Get the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Very important. It gives you a basic understanding of the differences between how men and women think. We're different. We see the world differently. We approach the world differently. And sometimes women, you want us to be just like you. You want us to approach situations just like you. You want us to feel about situations the way that you do. And then you condemn us when we don't. We could be two people in the same situation and we could have two different opinions about the situation. We at a restaurant, the girl comes up to the table, waiter comes up to the table, she's smiling, giggling, hee, ha, ha, and you like, here's my card, you know what I mean? And you're just being nice. And your wife is looking at you like, so you and the waiter now, you want to go home with the waiter? It's just like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just being nice. I'm being cordial. What, you want me to frown? Here you go. Take the card and go about your business. Would that make you feel more comfortable if I did it like that? Or should I be cordial and respectful? It's like, yeah, but you know, as my wife say, you showing too many of your teeth. You smiling and kiki, ha, all up in her face. And I'm just like, all right, well, when she come back, I can frown when she come back and I can say, thank you for my card, and not show any of my teeth. I mean, there's two extremes to that. You got to let me know which extreme you prefer. You prefer me to be evil and angry and upset, or do you prefer me to be cordial and respectful? You understand? My wife is like, oh, you showing too many of your teeth. The waiter don't need to know that you have 52 teeth in your mouth. It's like, are you serious right now? So, all right. So when she come back with my card, I'm not going to smile. And that's me because I'm sarcastic. So I'm gonna do the opposite, and then you tell me if that's what you prefer, right? But for men, women, you have to understand our logic. You have to understand why we do the things that we do. To us, it makes total sense. To us, it makes complete sense. To you guys, it does not make sense. Sometimes it's idiotic. You know what I mean? So, the Prophet ﷺ, he smiled, realizing what was happening to her at that moment, and he addressed her by her kunya in an attempt to gain access to that compassion. He was trying to bring her back, like, come back. Like, your jealousy has taken you so far out. He said, do you have any doubt about that, O Abdullah? He didn't call her Aisha. He called her Abdullah because that was a sore spot. That was a sensitive spot for her. This was the time, here again, that blank space, insert emotional engagement. Insert emotional engagement. The Prophet ﷺ, he was aware at that moment what the situation required. You understand? He was aware at that moment what that situation required. Insert emotional engagement at that moment. He said, do you have any doubt about me being the messenger of Allah, O Abdullah? Remember, I gave you the kunya, Abdullah. Remember when you came to me and you said all of my other wives have children and they have kunyas and you don't have a kunya? And I said, you can take the kunya of your nephew. You'll be Abdullah because you don't have any children. The Prophet ﷺ was so wise. Aisha comes to him and she says, vulnerable. She says, oh, all of your other wives have children from previous relationships. This is Habiba and Salama. I don't have any children. That was a sore spot for her. That was a sore spot. And insert emotional engagement. He didn't say, well, we'll just keep having sex and inshallah, one day we'll have children. One day you'll have a child. That would be man logic. We'll just continue as married coupled and inshallah, one day Allah will bless you with a kid and you'll have a kunya. Or I'll make dua that Allah bless you with a kid and inshallah, one day you'll have a child and then you'll have a kunya. No, he said this situation required immediate attention. You understand? This situation required immediate attention. He said, you can take the kunya of your nephew. You are Abdullah. So when, she's popping off at him at this moment, he says, do you have any doubt about that, Abdullah? He's trying to tap in, trying to reel her back in. All right? So she continued by saying, don't you claim to be the messenger of Allah? If so, why didn't you exercise fairness in this decision of yours? Now she's accusing him of not being fair. So her father, Abu Bakr, radiallahu anhu, he overheard the snarling comments to the Prophet ﷺ, and he became very rough with Aisha. And the Prophet ﷺ said, relax, Abu Bakr. He said, for indeed the jealous woman cannot tell the difference between the bottom of the valley from the top. Meaning when a woman is emotionally compromised, it is very challenging for her to apply normal behavior of compassion and empathy to the situation. So this makes it clear why sometimes when a man is in polygyny, even when a man is not in polygyny, and your wife is emotionally compromised, that soft, compassionate side that you usually see from her, gone. She can't manage those two emotions. She can't be extremely jealous and compassionate and merciful and understanding at the same time. You guys understand? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. She cannot manage compassion, mercy, understanding at the same time when she is emotionally compromised and jealous. Those two are not going to mix. So it would be nonsensical for a man to request from his wife at a moment when she is jealous and emotionally compromised. It would be nonsensical. It would be irrational for you to request from your wife to be merciful and compassionate, because at that moment you're asking for an emotion that she doesn't have access to. She's compromised. Jealousy and anger, all of that compromises the frontal lobe. This is where all your rational decisions are made. The frontal cortex of the brain, this part of the brain right here, is where we make all of our rational decisions. That part of the brain becomes compromised when you experience severe bouts of anger, jealousy. When those emotions kick in, you don't have access to rationale. This is why the Prophet ﷺ, when the guy came to him and said, O Messenger of Allah, Awsini, give me some advice. And the Prophet ﷺ said, La taghdab, don't become angry. La taghdab, don't become angry. La taghdab, don't become angry, because when you become angry, you no longer have access to the frontal cortex of your brain where all your rational decisions are made. Meaning that most of the time, the decisions that you make when you are angry or vice versa, when you are jealous, do not include rationale. It does not include being rational or reasonable. So this is where that coldness comes from sometimes. You guys taking notes? You guys got this? So I'm reading from my book. It's called The Revolution of Love. As you can see, it's not just about polygyny. It's giving you, it's a manual into men, women, and our engagements with one another. Alhamdulillah, your book arrived today. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. All right. So I started a book club. All right. All of you are welcomed. It's on Facebook. I will share the link with you guys. We will meet twice a month on Sundays. All right, I'll fill you in on all of the details, inshallah. But twice a month on Sundays, we will meet in a private group setting. This book club is not for everybody. Since we are on the Revolution of Love, since we're reading, I figured that we'll just kind of start with this book here. And then we'll introduce other books, into the discussion. But this book club, all of you guys are free to join. There are some prerequisites to joining. There are some rules and guidelines that are on the Facebook page. So when you go on there, there's a questionnaire, ask you 3 questions. If you do not answer the questionnaire, I'm not going to accept your request to be a part of the group. Answer the questionnaire, inshallah. Once you get once your request is approved and you are a part of the book club, there are some rules that you are responsible for, following while you're in the book club, inshallah. I will be posting things. I will be posting videos. I will be posting clips from the book, excerpts from the book, and just a space for us to have more private conversation about the things that we read. All right. Yes, Pam. The third book, the box didn't come until yesterday. So unfortunately, I'll send that in a separate. Package, inshallah. All right, on Monday. All right. So some of you got 2 books, and the third book was not there. And I put a little note inside your envelope that said that I will send it in a separate package. That is because the printer in New York, something was wrong with his printer. I didn't actually get the books. The paradox of change. I didn't actually get the books until yesterday. All right. So I just went ahead and sent off the 2, and I'll send the other book to you Monday, inshallah. All right. So I'll read one more passage, inshallah, that I thought was interesting. Let me see. Okay, so I'm on page 78. All right. The price list for all of the books is on my Facebook page. Once you log off of this, if you go to my Facebook page, there's a post that I put up with all 3 covers of the books, or 2 covers of the books, and the prices for the books, inshallah. All right. The prices for the books. All right. This book in particular is $25 plus the shipping, which is $10. I have been charging you guys $7 for the shipping, but I actually been taking a loss on that because the package is $1.35. Plus, they're not the post office is not actually even doing first class, so everything is going through priority, which is actually costing me $8.70. So me charging you $7 for the shipping is actually shorting myself. So the shipping from now on is $10, all right? Because that $3 add up, all right? It's $3 when it's 1 person. It's $30 if it's 10 people. So it starts to add up. So I cannot take that loss anymore. For those of you who've previously ordered books and you paid $7 for your shipping, yeah, you got that off. I'll take the loss. It's cool. It's good for business. But I'm not taking that loss anymore. So the shipping is $10, all right, for up to 2 books. If you add the 3rd book, the shipping will be $15. But up to the 2 books, the shipping is $10, inshallah. All right, so this book is $25, plus the shipping is $10, inshallah. All right. And if you're interested in ordering the book, you can order it through PayPal, Imam Shadid Muhammad at Gmail. There were some people who were at Jumu'ah today and bought, well, I didn't have actually any more of these books. Okay, so I'm on page 110. Last point that I want to make. Yes, UK shipping is $25. UK and Canada is $25. All right. To ship outside to UK and Canada, the shipping is $25. All right. I ordered 2 books and live in the UK. Have they been posted? What is your real name? What is the name that you sent it under? I just sent 2 books to the UK. It might have been yours. What was the name that you sent it under? Christy or something like that? Khadija, Christy, or something like that. I just sent 2 books to the UK yesterday. It might have been yours. Yes, yours was shipped yesterday. You can email me directly for the tracking number. Your books were shipped yesterday. Yep, both of them. All right. So I'm on page 110. Many men make the mistake of believing that sedating their sexual appetite has more to do with taking another wife than it does with the healthiness of his own heart. I'll say that again. Because some men think, oh, my sex drive is out of this world. I need to marry another wife because, I don't want to go out and commit zina. I don't want to go fornicate. I don't want to go commit adultery. I need to marry another wife, right? And you believe that marrying another wife is the solution to your problem, but you're not thinking about the condition of your heart. The heart is what controls everything. The heart is the master of the body. The heart is the master of the body. So I talk to many men, right? I talk to many men and I say, well, why you want to marry another wife? Well, I'm afraid that, one wife is not going to be enough. I don't want to, cheat on my wife, but, I have a high sexual appetite, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, marrying another wife is not going to solve your problem, because what happens, I want men, this is the man logic, and I want to challenge that. I'm challenging the man logic. You say that you're married to one wife, and you say that you need to marry another wife because you are afraid that if you don't marry another wife, you're going to go and do something that's haram. You're talking to women, you're communicating with women on social media, you're engaging women in a manner that's haram. And you believe that by marrying another woman, it will help to sedate, it will help to tame, your sexual appetite. So my question to you is, what happens when you marry another wife and then you desire another one? Because you're on a hamster wheel. I use that reference a lot. You're on a hamster wheel. You know how the hamster just keeps running on the wheel and it thinks that it's going to get its tail. It thinks it's going to get to the end. And the moment you think you're at the end, you're starting at the beginning again. The moment you think you're at the end, you start at the beginning again. And it's like you're on this hamster wheel and you will never come off. It's the same thing that we used to say about people who were addicted to drugs, that they're chasing pipe dreams. You ever heard that phrase before? Chasing pipe dreams. Meaning they might come out, buy some drugs, go home, use the drugs, and then come right back out and buy more drugs. And it's just like, dude, you're not going to get any higher than what you are. You tell yourself, if I go out and I buy 2 more, I'm going to just go buy 3 more. And you think that 2 more, that 3 more that you're buying is going to get you higher. It's a pipe dream. You're not going to get any higher than what you already are. In some instances, getting any higher than what you already are, you're going to be comatose. You are going to die. You're going to slip into a freaking coma. You follow me? It's a pipe dream. And some men have that same pipe dream, that same demeanor when it comes to marrying another woman. This is the same mentality. You're chasing because you tell yourself, all right, I'm married to one woman, but she's not really doing it for me. And believe it or not, this whole idea of my sexual appetite, come on, man. You're not the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Prophet was given the strength of 10 men. We not rocking out like that. Knock it off, man. Your sexual appetite is not overwhelming where if you don't get married to another wife tomorrow, you're going to go out and you're going to commit fornication or adultery. Like, stop it. Knock it off, man. Knock it off. Because quiet is kept. A lot of brothers who go and take another wife, your first wife is sexually dissatisfied. Let's keep it 100. You want to keep it a buck? Let's keep it 100. Your first wife is sexually dissatisfied. Let's keep it a beam. Your first wife is sexually dissatisfied. And she's looking at you at marrying another wife, like the audacity. Like, here it is, you have some women that are satisfying themselves sexually because when they're engaging in sexual relations with their husbands, they're not doing it for them. So then the husband is done. She has to go pleasure herself in order to get to a point where she's satisfied. And then you turn around and you want to marry another wife. You have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. Your sexual desire is overwhelming, so you got to go marry another wife. Meanwhile, your wife is pleasuring herself because you don't do it for her. You've got to be kidding me, man. You have got to be kidding me. This has to be like a sick joke. So I don't want to hear, oh, I got to marry another wife because, my wife is, and let's since we keeping it 100, let's keep it 100. Most men cannot outlast a woman in a sexual engagement. Most men can't. Most men can't. That's a fact. I don't have to elaborate on that. Most men cannot outlast a woman when it comes to sexual intimacy. They can't. And that's the best from amongst us. That's the best from amongst us. So miss me with all the, I got, my sexual desires is, I got to get that, but here again, go back to my point. Many men, so let me just say for the brothers, when I have this conversation with men, you can take off the mask when you're around me because that stuff doesn't impress me. That stuff impresses your wife. That stuff impresses the woman that you are intended to. It sounds good that you have this great sexual appetite and that you can satisfy multiple women. That sounds good to them. You talking to another man. I'm sorry, I'm not impressed. I'm not buying into that because I'm going to dig deeper and make you think about and make you look at yourself a little differently. I'm going to dig a little deeper and I'm going to make you look at yourself a little differently. So wait a minute. So you're telling me that every single time you have sexual relations with your wife, every time you are sexually intimate with your wife, like you putting her to bed, that's it. She can't handle it anymore. And like, you're done. You want more. And she's like, all right, I'm done. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm finished. I just want to go to sleep. And you're sitting there, trying to figure out what do I do next? Because I'm sitting here, and I'm not really satisfied. Is that what's happening? Is that what you're telling me? Because when you say I need another wife because my sexual appetite exceeds the one wife that I have. And I'm not saying that there are not men out there whose sexual appetite does exceed, but there are a rare few from amongst us. I mean, let's keep it on it. Those type of men are a rare few from amongst us. So this whole idea, I need to marry another wife because I fear if I don't, I'm gonna commit adultery. And, my wife sexually, I have a huge sexual app, man, miss me with all of that. Miss me with that. You're talking to another man. You're not talking to a woman who's intrigued by what she hears. I'm sorry. I'm not buying that. But many men make the mistake of believing that sedating their sexual appetite has more to do with taking on another wife than it does the healthiness of his own heart. They don't realize that by marrying another woman with the intention of taming or completely eradicating the sexual urge, they are exploiting the institution of polygyny to solve a problem that the fear and consciousness of Allah should solve by itself. All right? You're exploiting polygyny. You're using polygyny to help you not fornicate, to help you not commit adultery. So you're going to exploit polygyny to stop yourself from doing, what somebody, who should be morally and spiritually conscious would not even think about doing. All right. So you're going to use polygyny to do that rather than the normal path of taming that, which should be the fear of Allah. How about getting up at the third of the night? How about stop watching porn? How about stop being around men who, when you're around them, the only thing they're talking about is sleeping with women? Stop How about lowering your gaze? How about taking the traditional path to taming your desires? How about that? I mean, like, that's the way to tame that desire. Taming the desire is not by feeding it. You're saying that I want to marry another woman because I have a sexual urge or desire, that supersedes the wife that I'm married to. And if I don't marry another wife, I fear that I'm going to go commit adultery. You're feeding the desire. You're not taming it. Taming the desire is by starving it, not feeding it. Is that not what our religion teaches us? Does our religion teach us to give in to the desire or to do what is called jihadun nafs, to wage war against your desires? Wage war against your desires. So we are exploiting the institution of polygyny to solve a problem that the fear and consciousness of Allah should solve by itself. In addition, they are exploiting the potential sexual experience the new wife is going to provide without even considering her expectation of a real love relationship. So let me say this. So when a man says, I want to marry another wife because my sexual desires, exceeds the wife that I'm married to. And if I don't marry another woman, I fear that I'm going to go commit adultery. So basically what you're saying is, and this is with no consideration for the woman that you're about to marry. What if she wants to be in love? She's not marrying you for sex. Sex comes with the territory. Sex comes with the territory, but she's not marrying you for sex, brother. She's marrying you because she wants to be in love. This is her one and only opportunity to be in love, and you're about to exploit that for your own instant gratification. You understand? Do you see now that I'm playing the conversation back how it sounds now? You say, I want to marry another woman because I have a strong sexual appetite. That means that your purpose for marrying this woman is to tame your desire without any consideration for the fact that what if this woman that you're marrying, she's pretty? Because no man knows when he's having to sit down with a woman whether or not she's going to be able to fulfill your sexual desires. She might have a condition. She might have a condition that might not allow you to fulfill your sexual desires the way that you would like to. Women have all types of conditions and situations going on, in their private life that they actually don't tell you about until after you get married. No woman is going to come to you during the sit down and say, I have, frequent bleeding, throughout my life. I have an irregular menstrual cycle, and that sometimes that's going to interfere with our sex life. A woman is not going to tell you that during the sit down. Number one is because it's her private life. Number two is because she's probably embarrassed by it. Number three, she's hoping that once she marries you, you'll kind of overlook that. So you don't know what her situation is before you marry her. But in your mind, you're saying, I'm going to marry this woman and she's going to satisfy the sexual appetite that I have. Meanwhile, you're marrying her and she comes with her own set of situations that kind of infringe on that. Then what do? You gonna marry a third one? Or you gonna marry a fourth one? Like, what do you do then? The solution to that problem is not to marry another wife. The other dilemma is that that is usually not considered when men embark on this perilous journey. What if the new wife turns out to be as unentertaining and unfulfilling sexually as the first wife? What happens then? You marry her. She looks good when she's sitting across the table. But when you get home and you want to consummate the marriage with her and you find that she is just as the same as your first wife, then what? Does he divorce her and find another one and keep her or keep her and add a third wife to the scenario? What happens when the nostalgia of the new experience wears off and the desire is still there. What do you do then? Okay, you're married to one woman. You say you need a second wife because your sexual appetite far exceeds the first wife. Got it. You married a second wife. It's fun in the beginning. It's fun in the beginning. You're in your honeymoon phase. A month go by, 2 months go by. You're having crazy sex, crazy intimacy. 6 months down the line, the nostalgia wears off and you settle into a relationship. Then what? And the desire is still there. Then what? You go marry a fourth wife? You go marry a third wife? A fourth wife? Or extramarital relations under the guise that, my needs are not being met. As the reader can see, this is a dark tunnel that has no light at the other end. A cycle of behavior that has left a trail of tears in the American Islamic community across cultural lines. Yep. The revolution of love. And to think that I wrote this book years ago, and I wrote this book in 2017, 3 years ago. And I think that the information is still relevant even till today. Yeah, man. If we are going to correct anything as it relates to this marital institution of polygyny, it starts with education. It starts with education. So this will be the first book on our book club. So right now we're going to just kind of get everybody in there, kind of get everybody into the book club. And then we'll begin having discussions as it relates to, we'll begin to have discussions. I will give you guys homework. I will give you guys projects. I will give you guys chapters to read, and then we'll come back and we'll have discussions and conversations. Men who have prolonged immaturely, compounded with the fact that they don't understand themselves or their religion. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. It's just a matter of us maturing, especially as men. This is for men and women. It's a matter of us maturing. This book, there's a lot of me in this book. My own mistakes. I wouldn't be able to share this stuff with you had I not have my own share of mistakes. All right? There's a lot of me in here as well. But somebody had to have this conversation. Somebody had to have this conversation because we've seen polygyny being practiced in our communities for years, but we've never really had a communal conversation like this, man. The comparison of Musa hit home when explaining things with your mother. Absolutely. You can purchase the book via PayPal. If you want to purchase the book Cash App, please email me first before you do that. My email address is Imam Shadeed Muhammad, IMAMSHADEED, Muhammad, MUHAMMAD, Imam Shadeed Muhammad @gmail.com. That's if you want to purchase PayPal, because PayPal doesn't leave you, there's no room on there for you to leave your address. And if you purchase PayPal, I need you to email me first so I can have your mailing address, so I can be clear about who you are and where you are so I can ship it to you. Other than that, you can use PayPal. That's the only other way to purchase the book. If you don't have PayPal, please link up with somebody who does. Maybe you can send them the money and they can purchase it for you and ship it to you. The book is $25. The book is $25, $10 for shipping. The book is $25, $10 for shipping. You can join the book club, or you can send an email asking for an invoice, and then I'll send you an invoice, inshallah. All right. The book club, you should be able to find the Facebook page. It's called Roll the Book Club. Roll the Book Club. Once you send the invite, I haven't accepted anybody's invite right now. So if you send the invite and you didn't get accepted, don't feel any type of way, because we just created it yesterday. So we're still kind of adding some things to it to get it to the place where we need to go. So that'll be 2 Sundays out of the month that we'll meet, and we'll have discussions. We'll have Sunday morning coffee and tea discussions, and we'll select certain passages and certain chapters to read from the book, and then we'll actually begin to have discussions about it in our private book club discussions, inshallah. It's called Rawdah Book Club, RAWDAH. RAW, she just posted it here. My wife just posted it there. RAWDAH Book Club, Rawdah Book Club. All right. And so we'll meet 2 Sundays out of the month. And those Sundays will be, well, if you're in the Delaware area, yeah, you can pick the book up. Just email me and let me know where you are. I'll meet you and bring the book to you. Not a problem. This book has sold out. I put in an order yesterday, and the book will be here on Tuesday. So for those of you who are purchasing the book today, please leave at least 3 to 4 days before you receive the book. Do not email me after you make your purchase 2 or 3 days later and say, oh, I purchased my book, I haven't received anything. You're not going to receive anything. I mean, there's orders before you. I'm an independent distributor, so I don't go through a bookstore. I sell everything myself. All right. So independent distributor functions a little different than you buying it from a bookstore. You're receiving an immediate invoice, and I'm not that savvy. You will get your book in a timely manner. I promise you. But don't purchase the book today and on Sunday or Saturday say, oh, I purchased the book on Friday, I still haven't received the book. Like, come on, man, cut me a break. You're not going to receive the book. The book will be here on Tuesday. The box will be here on Tuesday. I sold out yesterday. The box will be here on Tuesday. Once it's here on Tuesday, inshallah, I will ship the books out on Wednesday. Okay? Everyone that purchased the book before 2 days ago, all of those books have been sent out. You should be receiving your book between today, tomorrow, Monday. All right? The further away you are, the longer it takes. California, I think there was a book that was sent to California. It's a couple of books, California. I think somewhere Arizona, Texas, that's going to be Monday. If you live in Philly or you live in South Jersey or North Jersey, then you should get the book within the next day. That's why I'm charging $10, because we're doing it priority. So that way you get the book between 2 days. 2 days you get the book. Right, this is not Amazon. Absolutely, I am not Amazon. I'm one person. I still have a family. I still have a job. I still have stuff that I have to do. I'm trying to do all of this in my spare time. So cut me a break. All right, you guys have been great. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathira. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. If you want to hear more about this, you need to join the book club. I'm not going to do any more lives about this book. My live today was just a perk of, you guys being tuned in. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we are doing the book club, and we will be reading at the book club. All right. So if you are part of the book club, then you are in there. That's a private group. You have to be approved by myself as well as the administration that I work with. You have to be approved. Once you are approved, you're in the book club. We will also be doing membership. We will also be doing membership, inshallah, and I will keep you guys posted as it relates to that and the perks that come along with joining our membership. But the book club is free. You're free to join. The Revolution of Love. This will be our first book that we cover. All right. So give me a few days, inshallah, and I will keep you guys posted as it relates to once you join the book club and you're in there. Then all of the posts you will see inshallah, as it relates to what days we're going to meet, what we're going to discuss, what projects I'm going to give you guys. So if you guys love to read, you love critical thinking, you love good conversation, you love coffee or tea, whatever your poison is, then this will be good, inshallah. This will be good. All right. You guys have been great. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.